I'm going to tell you a story about a school of fish. Now, if you've ever seen a school of fish, you know that they all look just the same. And quite often, a school of fish swims exactly together, and they turn at the very same moment. Now, if you saw a school of fish and you decided that you were just going to choose one fish and watch it, you might be able to watch it through one turn and know which fish you're watching, and probably through two turns you knew which fish was yours. But by the time that school of fish made three turns, I'm sure you would have lost the fish that you had chosen. Now, this story is about a school of fish that lived on the other side of the world. They lived near India. And they had been looking up through the surface of the water at the sun for a very long time. To them, it looked like a big, round, red circle. And they had decided it was a red hat. They had called it a red hat so long that they believed that it was a red hat up there. Now, there was one little fish who said, if that's a red hat up there, someone should be wearing it, and that someone should be me. And he turned to all of the other fish and said, goodbye. I'm going after that red hat. The next time you see me, I'm going to be wearing that red hat. And all the fish said, oh, no, you won't. Nobody can get that red hat. You'll never wear that red hat. But the little fish looked at him and said, well, I'm going to try. And he swam away. And he was so happy to be in this adventure that he sang a song. He sang, I want that red hat. Everybody could see me if I wore that hat. I want it, I want that red hat. I want that red hat. And he swam along with his nose just barely poking up through the surface of the water. And along came a seagull that circled around him. The fish saw that seagull and said, oh, seagull, I see you have strong wings. Would you please fly up into the sky and get that red hat and bring it to me so I could wear it? And the seagull looked down at that little fish and said, I'd rather get you and put you in my stomach. The fish dove down and swam away. Now he swam about 4 feet underneath the surface of the water where he was safe from any seagull. And he still sang his song, I want that red hat. Everybody could see me if I wore that hat. I want that red hat. I want that red hat. And as the little fish swam, he went, ooh, he came into some darker water. He was in a shadow. He looked up, and above him he saw a long, thin triangle. And hanging from the side of that triangle was a long line with a hook on the end of it. And on that hook there was a worm. A wormy, squirmy worm. But the little fish looked up that line again at the triangle, and he knew what that triangle was. It was a boat. And inside that boat, there was a fisherman. The little fish swam up and he poked his nose through the water again, and he called out to the fisherman, oh, Mr. Fisherman, I see you have a nice long line in the water with a hook on it. Would you bring in that hook and cast it up into the sky and catch the red hat with it, and then bring it down and give me the red hat and I could wear it. Would you do that, please? And the fisherman looked down at the fish and said, I'd rather have you on the end of my hook and then on my dinner plate for supper. Ooh, the little fish swam away again. And he continued his song. He was not going to be discouraged. He sang, I want that red hat. Everybody could see me if I wore that hat. I want it, I want that red hat. I want that red hat. And as the fish was swimming, he didn't look where he was going. And that little fish was swimming up a river. And sitting on the banks of that river, there was an elephant. After all, it was India, and that's where some elephants live. That elephant was sitting on the bank of the river, and he was doing what elephants do when it's very, very hot. He was making mud caps. He'd reach down and get some mud with his trunk and put it on his head, and that mud would trickle down in front of and behind his ears. Oh, and it felt so good that the elephant would go, ah. Let's make a mud cap together. Get your trunk, get some mud, put it on your head, and let it trickle. And it feels good. Ah. That elephant was so happy that he was singing his elephant song. Since you haven't heard it yet, I'll sing it for you. It goes like this. Oh, the elephant is big and fat. He likes to eat this and that. He likes to sit and munch and cram on hay and oats and strawberry jam. Ah. The little fish said, oh, did you hear that? He doesn't eat fish. He eats hay and oats and strawberry jam, not fish. He swam over near the elephant and poked his nose up through the water and said, oh, Mr. Elephant, I see you have a very nice long trunk. Do you think you could reach up into the sky and get that red hat and give it to me? And then I could put it on my head and everybody would know which fish I was. Would you please do that for me? And the elephant looked at the little fish and he thought, what a cute little fish. And he said, I don't know if I can get it for you, but I will try. And then he reached up into the sky and he stretched and he stretched and he stretched. And he even stood on his elephant tiptoes and stretched some more, but he couldn't get it. He turned back to the fish. I'm sorry, I can't get it for you, but maybe you can get it yourself. He picked up that little fish with his trunk and he swung the fish back and forth and back and forth and then up into the sky. And that fish went up, up, up through the pretty blue sky, past the puffy white clouds, and still it went up into the dark blue sky, and still it went up, up, up higher. It went into where the sky was orange and then yellow and hot. And the fish was looking around and saying, oh no, it's not a red hat. It's not a red hat at all. It's the sun. And just at the moment when he realized it was the sun, that little fish started to fall back towards the earth. It fell through the bright yellow and orange sky and down, down, down through the dark blue sky, fell past the pretty puffy white clouds. It fell past the blue sky until it landed in the water, just about at the spot where he had started this adventure. Oh, that little fish was so glad to be back in the water. He just sat there and he waved his fins and let the water soothe his fins and cool his gills. I'm so happy to be home, he thought. It's so good to be here again. Oh, I'm so happy. And just then, the school of fish came by, and they saw their friend, and they said, ha, 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 ho, ho, ho. You didn't get that red hat. We told you you could not get that red hat. Nobody can get that red hat. Ha, 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 ho, ho, ho. And the little fish said to his friends, it's not a red hat. Nobody can get it. You're right. It is not a red hat. What we thought all this time was a red hat is really the sun. And a lot of the fish believed him, but some of them did not believe him. They thought it was a red hat anyway. But still, all of those fish stayed together, and they looked exactly alike. And if you were to just choose one fish, you might be able to stay with that fish through one turn, maybe through 2 turns. But by the time they turned 3 times, you wouldn't know which fish you were watching because they all look exactly the same. But they have different ideas and different thoughts. And yet they stayed together anyway. And that's the story of the School of Fish, or the Red Hat. I hope you liked it.